O'Seal, and welcome back, family. You know what this is. It's another edition of Real Talk. Now, what we're going to be dealing with today is we're going to be talking about some of the comments that we've gotten over the last week or two.
Over the last week, I was just going to read one.
Okay, well, that's why I said some of the comments, maybe one or two.
Yeah, we get a lot of shit.
Sure,
we get a lot of
sure.
shit.
Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about
Right.
the real questions.
Okay, here's a real question. The question is, can either of you explain how the Europeans were able to come to Turtle Island and steal our land? Do you think it was simply by using gunfire or giving us smallpox? Or could it have been natural disaster that wiped out millions of us and they came afterwards? It just seems hard to believe that a relatively small group of foreigners can take over a country of millions of us. We were millions strong.
That's right.
I just got a brief answer, just a brief answer, and then I'll pass it right to you. Is that okay?
Hey.
My brief answer is, it wasn't from natural disaster. It wasn't from smallpox. And it wasn't just from gunfire. There was a trail of tears, and there still is a trail of tears for us Indians.
Mm-hmm.
They systematically wiped us out on paper. It wasn't a physical wipeout. It was a spiritual wipeout because they put their religion on us. Then they put our kids in school, that compulsory education. So that's my answer. That's my answer, and according to my research, it wasn't any one thing. It took generations and generations for us to forget who we are on our own land.
Now, here's my answer. First of all, it was the propagation of the gospel. They knew that we were a spiritual people. So when they came in, those very first settlers, they brought with those exploiters, those explorers, they brought with them missionaries. That's what happened. That it was way before compulsory education. The very first schools were Sunday schools.
And let's explain the propagation of the gospel.
Sure.
Let's just break down that word, propagation. Propaganda.
That's right.
That's a lot of what you see on the TV today. Propaganda, only back then, they physically came to you with the propaganda. And then generationally, they brainwashed our children with the propaganda. Now, we know they brought guns, germs, and steel. We know that. But that's not the real answer.
No, and then we were fighting tooth and nail. See, they could not win over us. That's why they had to systematically, through religion, through compulsory education, kill the mind of the Indian.
And to your point, they couldn't kill us because, remember, the American Indian War was over 300 years.
It's still going on right now, as a matter of fact.
That's the longest war in history besides Afghanistan. But they don't talk about it.
No.
They don't talk about it because it's not a war that they won. They still haven't won.
Understand that we've been here for millenniums. We've always been here. What they've simply done is miseducated us and relabeled us time after time. And the only way they could do that was systematically, generation by generation by generation. Okay? That's why we're here today, right now, to enforce, to tell you to remember who you are. We're telling you that you are the indigenous Niji of this land. You are the true American Indians.
Yes, it was a paper genocide, but they can't wipe this out. You know what they did? They separated the elders from the young.
That's right.
And that's how the oral history got cut as well.
As well as that compulsory education, teaching us something that was very much different from the actual reality of what a lot of us faced.
That's right.
See, over time, systematically, they brainwashed so many of our people into believing one thing, that we were from somewhere else, therefore taking away our original power from us. leaving it to us to put our power in someone else's hands. Well, it's time for us to stand up.
Take back our power.
Take back our power. That's why we always tell you about being a sovereign being, how you can exist within the system of things, but you can be an individual. You can be sovereign. You can be of this country, but not a part of this country. It's true.
I get what you're saying.
You know, we're not a part of this. All this commercialization of our image, you know, all around the world, all this money made off of us. Remember, we invented, created everything that's being used now.
Okay, I got another comment from somebody else. Somebody who wasn't thinking as constructively as the other person I just read. This person said that she's mixed. First of all, she's 50-50.
50-50, there we go with that 50-50. And remember, you guys, if you're 50-50, you choose what side you want to be on.
Or society will choose for your ass.
That's right.
Anyway, she said, well, you built everything, right? Y'all built everything. Why didn't you all rebuild? Why didn't you know, after a tornado and a hurricane, people rebuild. Y'all just painted a mural. How come y'all didn't rebuild? That's what she said.
Well, yeah, that's a real ignorant person, because you and I both know we've always been creating. We've always been building.
Let me answer that. You know what I gotta say? We have rebuilt.
That's
Look
right.
at me and him sitting right here, baby.
That's right.
They've done everything to keep us down. We came from the very bottom, if not the underworld, okay?
That's right.
And you see us sitting right here looking pretty. We rebuild, but we realized we couldn't rebuild necessarily on this land, on any land in the world. It's a new world order, right?
That's right.
Okay? We rebuild ourselves. We reconstructed ourselves.
That's where
to
we have to
become
start.
Equipped to deal with this bullshit in society.
Right. And being creators, that's why we've affected everything in the world. Everything. So as far as rebuilding or picking up the pieces, we never had to do that. All we did was kept going
Keep
on.
it pushing.
That's right. Keep it
We know
going
better next
on.
time.
That's right.
You know better next time.
Exactly. And remember, family, you have to teach your children.
That's right.
We can't depend on anyone else but ourselves. You know, you can depend on your aunt. You can depend on your uncle to tell you the truth, to gear you in the right direction, to show you how to lead a sovereign life, to show you how to identify with who you truly are and the power that comes from that.
But from there, you got to be self-sufficient.
That's right.
You got to find a way to be sovereign in this world.
You gotta hustle hard.
Hustle.
Hustle real hard.
No matter
people.
what part of the world you in. You can be in Japan, okay? You got to know who you are.
That's right.
You got
That's
to know
right.
who you are.
You know, and that, as we pointed out, so many of these bullshit pseudoscience theories, we've disproven a lot of that. The proof is when you look in that mirror at yourself, when you talk to your family members, the truth is there. We've always been a great people. We have never needed handouts or subsidies from anybody, especially the government. They just made a lot of us dependent because we lost our ways. But it's all about now, in this time of awakening, reigniting that which is in your soul and also in your heart. Plain and simple. I'll say it 1,000 times if I have to, over and over again. We are the true American Indians.
We are indigenous
to this land.
That's right. Because of this English language, people may try to twist up your words. Use your language. You are a Niji. That means a North American Indian, and all of your allies here on this land.
That's South America, the Caribbean, all the Pacific Islands, and Canada.
Okay.
Okay.
We are one. We are one. Let's get back into who we really are so we can move forward into this new way of living.
In this new way, and in this new time.
Let's learn from the old way.
Each one teaching one, each one sharing.
Reignite that oral history.
You know, because it's a great one. We were here first.
We've been here.
Always.
We were here first.
That's why I said we were here first. And then
we were here already.
And then the settlers and Europeans came in afterwards.
Yeah.
And, you know, for that person that had that question, how could we let this go? Remember, this has been done systematically. They couldn't do it to prior generations. They could only impose that thought, that mandatory education, that religion on future generations. That's why we're here, to clear up the bloodline. That's what each one of us need to do. Our ancestors are begging us to clean up the bloodline. They have fought, they have died for us, and we're still fighting, and we're still dying. But we will always be. And they may try to rename us, they may try paper genocide. None of that will work. They couldn't kill us physically because there's so many of us. We've always been the majority.
Let me say this. What you see in the news, killing our young people, that is fear-mongering. Turn off that news and tap into what's going on inside of here.
Remember that fear is false evidence that appears real.
That's just like those lynchings that they had down south. It was fear-mongering to get us off of our land.
Jim Crow was just another form of the purge.
A bunch of fucking bullying.
A bunch of bullying by some poor Europeans, by some poor settlers.
And then in the purge, they make it seem like the rich is the ones that's purging. No, it was told in reverse.
That's
it was
right.
those po folks that was purging.
That's right.
Share this message, and hey, we'll see you soon.
And I hope that you're living your life to the fullest. I hope you're learning how to become a sovereign being through identity, empowering not only yourself, but your friends, your family, and most important, your children.
Hey, I say most important, yourself.
That's right.
You gotta take care of yourself, baby, before you can take care of anybody else. Now that's word to your mama.